The Great Hall on Nexus Prime had never seen so many angry aliens in one place. Chancellor Vexitaran stood at the center of the crystal chamber, his 4 purple eyes burning with fury. Around him, representatives from 847 different species filled the floating seats. Some had tentacles, others had scales, and a few were just glowing clouds of gas. But they all shared one thing: they were mad at the humans. "This cannot continue," Vexitaran shouted, his voice echoing through the vast space. His staff, made from compressed starlight, hit the floor with a sound like thunder. "The humans have broken every rule we made." The crowd erupted in angry sounds. Some aliens clicked their claws. Others made deep growling noises. The gas clouds flashed red with rage. In the far corner, Ambassador Kreltha waved all 6 of her arms in the air. "They ignore our messages," she called out. "For 6 months we have sent them important communications about trade laws and stellar boundaries. They do not respond." "Worse than that," added General Thekmore, his lizard-like head turning toward the crowd. "They terraform dead planets without permission. They trade with primitive species we told them to leave alone. They act like our laws mean nothing." Vexitaran raised his staff again. The chamber fell silent. "The humans think they can do whatever they want because they are new to space. But we have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We will show them respect." On the main screen, images appeared of human ships landing on barren worlds. Within months, these dead rocks became green planets with cities and farms. The aliens watched in horror as humans gave advanced technology to species the Council had marked as too young for space travel. "Look at this." Vexitaran pointed at the screen. They gave faster-than-light engines to the Corvan Republic. The Corvans were not supposed to leave their system for another 500 years. "And here," General Thekmore added, bringing up another image. "They built a trade station in the neutral zone. The neutral zone has been empty for 3,000 years. It is sacred space." The anger in the room grew stronger. Some aliens were standing now, shaking their weapons or natural body parts that looked like weapons. The translator system worked overtime to turn all the different alien languages into one angry message. The humans had gone too far. Meanwhile, billions of light years away on Earth, Dr. Hyunwoo Kim sat in his small office eating instant noodles. He worked for the Asteroid Mining Corporation, and his job was to fix computer problems. His desk was covered with empty coffee cups and technical manuals. The office was quiet except for the sound of him slurping soup. His computer beeped. Another email had arrived. Hyunwoo glanced at it while eating. The subject line read, "Final. Warning from the Galactic Council. Respond immediately or face the consequences." He rolled his eyes and clicked delete. These spam emails were getting more creative every day. Yesterday he got one about a space prince who needed help moving money between planets. The day before, someone wanted to sell him enhancement pills that work in zero gravity. Yoonji Park walked into the office carrying her own cup of noodles. She worked in the same building handling communications for the mining ships. Her desk was next to Hyunwoo's and they often ate lunch together. "Another weird email today," she said, sitting down. "Someone claiming to be from a galactic council wants me to stop all mining operations immediately. They say we are violating something called the Stellar Mining Accords of 2847. As if we have been mining in space for hundreds of years." Hyunwoo laughed. "I got one too. They are really committing to this space theme. I wonder if it is the, same group that keeps sending those alien prince money scam emails." "Probably," Yoonji agreed, stirring her soup. "My spam filter caught about 50 more this morning. They all use the same dramatic language, lots of capital letters and exclamation points." Back on Nexus Prime, Vexitaran was reading the formal declaration of war. The document was written on quantum paper that glowed with official seal of the Council. It listed all of humanity's crimes against galactic law and civilization. For violating the stellar trade agreements, for ignoring the Protected Species Act, for terraforming without permits, and for showing complete disrespect to this council, we hereby declare war on the species known as humans from the planet called Earth, he announced. The chamber exploded in cheers. Weapons were raised in salute. The gas clouds turned bright yellow with joy. Ambassador Kreltha did a victory dance with all 6 arms. General Techmore roared so loud that 3 translator systems broke. "We will assemble the greatest fleet in galactic history," Vextaran continued. 50,000 ships from across the spiral arm will teach these humans the price of ignoring the Council. "How long will it take to prepare?" asked Ambassador Silneth from the Crystal Empire. 3 months, to gather all ships and supplies," General Techmore replied. "Then 2 weeks to reach their system. By the end of this year, the humans will beg for mercy." The Council members cheered again. Some began making bets on how quickly the humans would surrender. Others discussed what to do with Earth after they conquered it. A few suggested turning it into a tourist destination where young aliens could see what happened to species that did not respect galactic law. On Earth, Hyunwoo finished his noodles and got back to work. His computer showed a list of mining ships that needed software updates. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. He plugged in his headphones and started typing code. In the next cubicle, Yoon-ji was scheduling supply runs to the asteroid belt. The miners out there needed food, water, and fresh air filters. It was her job to make sure they got everything on time. She hummed quietly while working on the shipping schedules. Neither of them knew that, across the galaxy, the largest military force in history was preparing to destroy their planet. They were too busy with their normal jobs to notice that their spam filters had just rejected the most important message humanity had ever received. The war had begun, but only one side knew about it. 3 months had passed since the Galactic Council declared war on humanity. In the deep space above Nexus Prime, the greatest military force in galactic history was finally ready. 50,000 warships floated in perfect formation, stretching across hundreds of kilometers. Each ship was a masterpiece of alien engineering, built to destroy entire worlds. Admiral Zekthros stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Judgment. The ship was the size of a small moon, with weapons that could crack planets in half. Its hull was made from metal that existed in 7 dimensions, and its shields could stop anything the universe could throw at it, or so the Admiral believed. "All ships report ready for battle," announced his second-in-command, Captain Veltar. The captain had 3 heads, which allowed him to monitor multiple systems at once. The fleet represents 47 different species and over 6 billion crew members. Admiral Zekthros nodded with satisfaction. His own species, the Kraxan, had conquered dozens of worlds in their long history. He had personally led fleets against 17 different civilizations. None had lasted more than a few days against his forces. "The humans will surrender before we even reach their system," he said confidently. "No species has ever ignored a council declaration of war. They must be planning their surrender speech already." The fleet began to move, disappearing into faster-than-light travel. Their destination was a small yellow star that humans called Sol. According to council records, it was the home of a young species that had only discovered space travel a few hundred years ago. They should be easy to defeat. 2 weeks later, the Armada dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Admiral Zekthros expected to find human defense fleets waiting for them, or perhaps desperate messages begging for mercy. Instead, he found something much more confusing. A single human cargo ship was drifting through space near Jupiter. It was old and rusty, held together with what looked like spare parts and good luck. The ship's name was painted on the side in fading letters. Lucky Dragon. Captain Dong-hyun Lee was inside the ship's tiny bridge, eating a bowl of rice while his autopilot handled the flying. He was delivering supplies to the mining colonies in the asteroid belt: rice, kimchi, instant coffee, and other necessities that kept the miners happy. It was not exciting work, but it paid well enough. His radio suddenly came alive with chatter. Hundreds of voices were speaking in languages he had never heard before. His translation software tried to keep up, but most of it came out as electronic gibberish. Then one voice spoke clearly in Korean. "Human vessel, you are surrounded. Prepare to be destroyed." Dong-hyun looked out his window and nearly choked on his rice. Space around him was filled with alien warships. They were huge, strange, and beautiful in their own way. Some looked like metal flowers. Others resembled giant fish or insects. A few were just geometric shapes that hurt to look at directly. "Wow," he said into his radio. "That is a lot of ships. Are you guys here for some kind of space parade?" On the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, Admiral Zekthros stared at the main screen in confusion. The human ship should have been detected by their sensors weeks ago. It should have been impossible for such a primitive vessel to get so close to their fleet without being noticed. "How did it get past our scanners?" he demanded. Captain Veltar checked his instruments with all three heads. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors show empty space where the ship is clearly visible. It is as if the vessel exists, but our technology cannot detect it." "And how is the human communicating with us?" Admiral Zekthros asked. "Our quantum communication system is encrypted with codes that would take their primitive computers millions of years to break." "Also unknown, sir. The signal is coming through as clearly as if we were using the same frequency." Admiral Zekthros felt a chill run down his spine. This was not how the war was supposed to start. On the Lucky Dragon, Dong-hyun was still trying to understand what was happening. "So are you guys here to attack someone?" he asked cheerfully. "Because if you are, you should know that this area has a lot of mining traffic. Safety regulations require all military exercises to be scheduled in advance." The radio crackled with angry alien voices. Finally, Admiral Zekthros spoke directly. "Human, we are the Galactic Council Fleet. We are here to destroy your species for crimes against galactic law." Dong-hyun thought about this for a moment. "Galactic law?" he said. "Is that like maritime law? Because technically I think space falls under international treaty jurisdiction. You might want to check with the United Nations." "What?" Admiral Zekthros roared. "Also," Dong-hyun continued, "I have extra lunch if anyone wants some. I made too much kimchi and it is getting a bit spicy for me. Fair warning though, it might be too hot for non-humans." Back on Earth, Minho Song was having a normal Tuesday morning at his government office. He worked for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Department of Unusual Communications. His job was to sort through the strange messages that came from foreign governments, international organizations, and the occasional crazy person. His computer had been acting up all morning, filling his inbox with spam that somehow got past the filters. Most of it was the usual stuff: fake lottery winnings, investment opportunities, and medical advertisements. But there was also a strange collection of messages that all seemed to have the same theme. "Galactic Council Final Warning," read one. Subject line, "Surrender now or face annihilation," read another. "Your species has been judged guilty," said a third. Minho sighed and started deleting them. These science fiction-themed spam emails were getting more elaborate every month. Someone was putting real effort into writing detailed backstories about alien civilizations and galactic governments. It was almost impressive, if it was not clogging up his email system. His colleague Soo Jin walked over carrying a cup of coffee. "Getting those weird space emails too?" she asked. "Yeah, dozens of them," Minho replied. "They all claim to be from something called the Galactic Council. Pretty creative stuff, actually. They have detailed legal documents, military reports, everything." "I wonder if it is viral marketing for a new movie," Soo Jin suggested. "Or maybe some kind of elaborate game." "Probably," Minho agreed. "I will forward them to the IT department. They can add whatever server is sending these to the spam blacklist." In space, Admiral Zekthros was having the worst day of his military career. The human had offered to share his lunch with a fleet of 50,000 warships. When politely declined, the human had started giving them a detailed explanation of asteroid belt safety regulations. "You see," Dong-hyun was saying, "the problem with large formations in this area is that you might accidentally block the shipping lanes. The mining companies have contracts to fulfill and any delays cost money. We are here to destroy your entire species," Admiral Zekthros shouted. "That seems like a lot of work," Dong-hyun replied thoughtfully. "Have you tried talking to our diplomats first? I am just a delivery guy. I do not really handle the big political stuff." Admiral Zekthros looked around his bridge. His officers were staring at their instruments in confusion. Their most advanced sensors could not properly detect one old cargo ship. Their quantum communication systems were being casually accessed by a human who thought they were there for a parade. "Sir," Captain Veltar reported quietly, We are receiving a transmission from the human homeworld. Finally, Admiral Zekthros said. Their leaders must be calling to surrender. The message appeared on screen. It was from something called the Seoul Metropolitan Office of Space Traffic Control. The text was simple and polite. To unknown vessels near Jupiter, please be advised you are entering a commercial shipping zone. All military exercises must be pre-registered with local authorities. Also, current solar weather may interfere with some sensor systems. Please fly safely. Admiral Zekthros felt his confidence drain away. The humans were treating the largest invasion fleet in galactic history like a minor traffic problem. The Galactic Council's invasion fleet had been sitting at the edge of the solar system for 3 days now, and Admiral Zekthros was starting to get a headache. His grand plan to terrify humanity into submission was not going well. Instead of cowering in fear, the humans seemed to be treating his fleet like a minor inconvenience. Ji-hoon Park was having a busy morning at his job in the asteroid belt. He worked as a traffic controller for the mining operations, making sure all the cargo, ships and worker shuttles did not crash into each other. It was like being an air traffic controller except in space with no air, and everyone was carrying tons of valuable minerals. His radar screen was showing more contacts than usual today. 50,000 new objects had appeared near the outer planets, all moving in neat formation. Ji-hoon assumed it was some kind of military exercise. The different Earth governments did that sometimes, sent big fleets out to practice maneuvers in empty space. Unknown vessels, this is asteroid belt control, he said into his microphone. You are entering a commercial mining zone. Please transmit your cargo manifests and destination permits. On the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, Admiral Zekthros nearly fell out of his command chair. How is he tracking us? He demanded. Our stealth systems make us invisible to all known sensor types. Captain Veltar was frantically checking his instruments with all 3 heads. Sir, according to our readings, we are completely hidden from their primitive technology. Yet this human is tracking every ship in our fleet with perfect accuracy. Maybe their sensors are more advanced than we thought, suggested Lieutenant Korvesh from the weapons station. Admiral Zekthros did not want to believe that. The Council's intelligence report said humans were a young species with basic technology. They had only been in space for a few centuries. They should not be able to see through cracks in military stealth systems that had taken thousands of years to develop. Ji-hoon was still waiting for a response when his computer beeped with a solar weather alert. Oh, heads up, everyone, he announced, on the general frequency. We have got a solar storm warning for the next 6 hours. Magnetic fields might interfere with some navigation systems. If you are using older equipment, you might want to switch to backup sensors. This was too much for Admiral Zekthros. I demand to speak with your leaders, he roared into the communication system. Okay, let me transfer you, Ji-hoon replied cheerfully. Fair warning, though. It is lunchtime on Earth, so you might get put on hold. The call was bounced between several different offices before landing on the desk of So Young Choi at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She had just returned from maternity leave and was dealing with a huge backlog of paperwork while trying to keep her baby happy. Her office was small and cluttered with files, empty coffee cups, and baby supplies. Her phone rang just as she was changing a diaper. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Diplomatic Services, this is So Young, she answered, holding the phone between her shoulder and ear. Human, Admiral Zekthros bellowed. I am Admiral Zekthros of the Galactic Council Fleet. Your species stands accused of violating galactic law. We demand your immediate surrender. So Young sighed and finished with the diaper. Her baby was making happy gurgling sounds, completely unbothered by the shouting alien on the phone. Right, so you are with the Galactic Council, she said. Let me guess. This is about those spam emails we have been getting? Spam emails? Admiral Zekthros was so loud that several bridge officers covered their ears. Yeah, we have been getting hundreds of them for months now, So Young explained, bouncing her baby gently. All claiming to be from various galactic organizations. Very elaborate stuff, actually. Someone put a lot of effort into creating fake legal documents and military reports. Admiral Zekthros felt like the universe was spinning around him. Those were not fake. Those were official communications from the highest authority in the galaxy. Uh-huh. So Young said, clearly not believing him. Look, I am really sorry, but your messages kept getting flagged by our spam filters. Have you tried not using all capital letters and excessive exclamation points? That usually triggers automatic blocking. What? But Admiral Zekthros struggled to form words. Also, So Young continued, if this is about trade disputes or territorial boundaries, you need to file the proper paperwork first. We cannot just take your word for it that you represent someone called the Galactic Council. For all we know, you could be anyone. Captain Veltar leaned over to whisper in Admiral Zekthros's ear. Sir, maybe we should start with a show of force. Fire a warning shot at one of their ships. Admiral Zekthros nodded. Human female, you will take us seriously now. We are targeting one of your cargo vessels. Surrender immediately or watch it be destroyed. So Young put the phone on speaker and continued changing her baby. Okay, but you should know that attacking civilian ships is considered an act of war under international law. Also, our insurance companies get really upset about that kind of thing. On the main screen, Admiral Zekthros watched as his weapons officer selected a target, an old mining ship that was hauling iron ore back to Earth. The ship looked like it was held together with spare parts and wishful thinking. Fire, he commanded. A beam of pure energy, hot enough to melt mountains, shot across space toward the human ship. It was the same weapon that had destroyed the battle fleets of 17 different civilizations. The energy beam could punch through any known shield technology. The beam hit the cargo ship and bounced off. The deadly energy scattered harmlessly into space like light reflecting off a mirror. Every alien on every ship in the fleet stared at their screens in disbelief. The cargo ship continued on its path, completely undamaged. Its pilot did not even seem to notice he had been attacked. What just happened? Admiral Zekthros whispered. Captain Veltar was checking his instruments frantically. Sir, our weapons fired correctly. The energy output was normal, but something reflected our attack. Shields? No, sir, we detected no shield technology. The beam just bounced. On Earth, So Young was still on the phone, trying to calm her crying baby. Are you still there? She asked. Look, if this is some kind of prank call, I really do not have time for it. I have about 100 other diplomatic issues to deal with today. Admiral Zekthros was staring at his tactical display in shock. According to every instrument on his ship, the humans had no advanced technology. No shields, no weapons, no military fleet. Yet somehow they had casually deflected a weapon that could destroy planets. How? He began. Oh, before I forget, So Young interrupted. If you guys are really from space, you should probably talk to our Space Development Office. They handle all the off-world stuff. I can transfer you if you want. Your Space Development Office? Admiral Zekthros asked weakly. Yeah, they coordinate with all our asteroid mining operations, the lunar colonies, the Mars research stations, all that stuff. Pretty routine these days. Admiral Zekthros looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at him with confusion and growing fear. The humans had casually mentioned having colonies on multiple worlds. They had deflected his most powerful weapon without even noticing, and they were treating his invasion fleet like a customer service call. Sir, Lieutenant Korvesh reported quietly. We are receiving another transmission from the mining zone. Put it through, Admiral Zekthros said, dreading what he might hear. It was Jihoon again, still managing space traffic with the same cheerful efficiency. Hey, just wanted to let everyone know, the solar storm is getting stronger. If you guys are planning to stay in the area much longer, you might want to move to the shadow side of Jupiter. Better protection from the radiation. Admiral Zekthros put his head in his hands. The largest military force in galactic history was being offered weather advice by a human traffic controller who was treating them like lost tourists. Sir, Captain, Veltar whispered, what are your orders? Admiral Zekthros looked at the tactical display again. 50,000 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, armed with weapons that could crack moons, facing a species that seemed completely unaware they were in danger. I need to think about this, he said finally. On the phone, So Young was wrapping up the call. So anyway, If you want to file a formal complaint about trade violations or whatever, you need to submit Form 27B to the International Trade Commission. I can email you the link if you give me your address. Admiral Zekthros realized he was about to give his military command codes to a human bureaucrat who was treating his declaration of war like a paperwork error. This was not going according to plan. Admiral Zekthros had been in space combat for over 200 years, but he had never felt as confused as he did right now. His massive invasion fleet was being treated like a tourist group by the humans. His most powerful weapons had bounced off their cargo ships like rubber balls, and worst of all, they kept offering him snacks and weather updates. "This is intolerable," he growled to his bridge crew. "They mock us with their casual dismissal of our power. They must be taught respect." Captain Veltar looked nervous. "Sir, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans may be more advanced than our intelligence report suggested." "Impossible," Admiral Zekthros snapped. "They are a primitive species that has barely left their home system. Our scanners show no advanced technology, no military installations, no defense fleets. They must be using some kind of psychological warfare." He activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, prepare for full bombardment of the human homeworld. We will show them the price of ignoring the Galactic Council." 50,000 warships turned their weapons toward the small blue planet called Earth. Each ship carried enough firepower to level continents. Together, they could turn an entire world into glowing debris in minutes. "Target locked on human population centers," reported Lieutenant Korvesh from the weapons station. "Fire all weapons," Admiral Zekthros commanded. Space filled with deadly energy. Particle beams, plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes, and reality-warping weapons all fired at once. The combined assault carried enough energy to destroy small moons. The beams crossed the solar system in seconds, aimed directly at Earth. And then something impossible happened. The weapons hit what looked like empty space around Earth and simply stopped. The deadly energy beams scattered like light hitting a prism, spreading harmlessly across the solar system. The quantum torpedoes exploded against invisible barriers. The reality-warping weapons twisted back on themselves and disappeared. Earth continued spinning peacefully, completely undamaged. The blue oceans and white clouds looked exactly the same as before. "What? How?" Admiral Zekthros stared at his tactical display in horror. According to his sensors, there was nothing protecting Earth. No shields, no defensive systems, nothing. Yet somehow the planet had deflected the most powerful military assault in galactic history. What Admiral Zekthros did not know was that 3 years earlier, a human engineering student named Taijin Yang had been working on his master's thesis project. Taijin was studying at Seoul National University, and his assignment was to improve wireless internet coverage across the campus. The problem was that the university's Wi-Fi signals kept getting blocked by buildings, weather, and even large groups of students. Taijin wanted to create a system that could automatically route internet signals around any obstacle, ensuring perfect coverage everywhere on campus. After months of research, he developed something he called a dynamic field adjustment network. It used quantum field manipulation to detect interference and automatically create alternative pathways for data transmission. The system worked so well that Taijin decided to scale it up for his doctoral thesis. Instead of just covering the campus, why not cover the entire planet? He set up a network of small quantum generators around the world, hidden in cell phone towers and internet relay stations. The system was designed to ensure that no matter what kind of interference Earth encountered, solar storms, satellite, debris, or cosmic radiation, the planet's communication networks would always stay connected. Taijin never intended to create a planetary defense system. He just wanted better Wi-Fi. But his quantum field generators had an unexpected side effect. They automatically deflected any form of energy that might interfere with Earth's electronic systems. This included solar radiation, cosmic rays, and apparently alien weapons fire. The system had been running quietly for 3 years, protecting Earth from space hazards without anyone noticing. Taijin's phone received automated status reports, which he usually ignored because everything always showed green across all systems. Right now, Taijin was in his apartment playing online games with his friends. His phone buzzed with a notification. Unusual network traffic detected. Possible DDoS attack. Auto-resolution protocols activated. He glanced at it briefly, marked the alert as resolved without reading the details, and went back to his game. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council fleet was experiencing a collective mental breakdown. Admiral Zekthros had ordered his ships to fire continuously for over an hour. They had used enough energy to power entire civilizations. Nothing had worked. Earth remained protected by forces that their instruments could not even detect. "Sir," Captain Veltar reported quietly, "we are receiving multiple transmissions from human ships." "Put them through," Admiral Zekthros said weakly. The main screen, filled with messages from various human vessels throughout the solar system. Cargo pilots, mining supervisors, and research station commanders were all saying essentially the same thing. "Hey, nice light show. Are you guys filming some kind of space movie? Wow, those special effects look really realistic from out here. My kids are going to love seeing this on the news tonight." One message came from a cheerful woman named Heejin Kim, who was piloting a cargo ship near Mars. "Hi there, I noticed you guys have been out here for a while. I have some extra coffee, and homemade cookies if anyone wants them. Space can get pretty lonely, so I always bring extra supplies to share with travelers." Before Admiral Zekthros could stop her, Heejin had launched a small cargo pod toward his flagship. The pod drifted through space and attached itself to the Eternal Judgment's hull with a soft magnetic clamp. "There you go," Heejin announced cheerfully. "The coffee is from a little shop in Busan. It is really good. The cookies are my grandmother's recipe." "Enjoy!" Admiral Zekthros stared at the cargo pod on his screen. A human civilian had just delivered snacks to his warship in the middle of a battle. His crew looked at him expectantly, waiting for orders. "Sir," Lieutenant Korvesh said carefully, Should we return fire at the cargo ship?" "We tried that already," Admiral Zekthros replied. "Remember, our weapons bounced off." "What about the cargo pod? It could be a bomb." Captain Veltar ran a scan with his instruments. "Negative, sir, it contains exactly what the human said, coffee and cookies. Also some kind of note that says, 'Welcome to our solar system. Have a great day.'" Admiral Zekthros felt something inside him break. He had spent 3 months assembling the greatest military force in galactic history. He had traveled across half the galaxy to teach these humans a lesson about respecting galactic law. He had fired enough weapons to destroy entire worlds, and the humans had responded by giving him cookies. "Sir," Captain Veltar whispered, "the crew is starting to ask questions. Some of them think the humans might be using advanced mind control technology." "Mind control?" Admiral Zekthros asked. "How else would you explain their behavior? They show no fear of our overwhelming firepower. They treat our weapons like entertainment. They offer us food and friendship in the middle of battle. It is not natural behavior for any species we have encountered." Admiral Zekthros considered this. It did make more sense than the alternative, that humanity was simply too advanced for the Council to understand. The idea that a young species could casually defend against their most powerful weapons was too frightening to accept. "You may be right," he said finally. "Deploy psionic shielding around the fleet. If they are using mental manipulation, we need to protect our crews." Across the fleet, 50,000 ships activated their psychic defense systems. These were designed to protect alien minds from the most sophisticated mental attacks known to galactic science. The shields had no effect whatsoever. The humans continued treating the invasion fleet like friendly neighbors who had stopped by for a visit. On Earth, people were starting to notice the pretty lights in the sky. Social media, filled with photos and videos of the alien weapons fire, scattering harmlessly around the planet. Most people assumed it was some kind of aurora caused by solar activity. The trending hashtag was spacelights, and the comments were mostly positive. "Beautiful display tonight. Mother Nature is amazing." My kids stayed up late to watch. Great, family time. Wonder if this means we will have good weather tomorrow? Admiral Zekthros watched these social media posts with growing horror. The humans were not just unafraid of his fleet. They thought his devastating weapon barrage was pretty. "Sir," Captain Veltar reported, We are receiving a priority message from the Galactic Council. They want a status report on the invasion. Admiral Zekthros looked at his tactical display one more time. His fleet had fired every weapon they had. The humans had suffered exactly 0 casualties. His ships were running low on energy. His crew was confused and demoralized, and there was a cargo pod full of homemade cookies attached to his flagship. "Tell the Council," he said slowly, "that the situation is more complicated than expected." 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council fleet arrived in the solar system, and Admiral Zekthros was seriously considering retirement. What was supposed to be a quick military demonstration had turned into the most embarrassing campaign in galactic history. His mighty invasion fleet was still floating near Jupiter, but it no longer looked very threatening. Half the ships had been adopted by human cargo pilots as good luck charms. The crews were getting fat on regular deliveries of Earth food. Several alien species had become completely addicted to Korean dramas and were binge-watching entire series during their duty shifts. The worst part was that the humans still did not seem to realize they were supposed to be at war. They kept treating the alien fleet like a tourist attraction that had overstayed its welcome. "Sir," Captain Veltar reported during the morning briefing, "we have another delivery from the human pilot Hyejin Kim. She brought us more coffee and something called fried chicken. She also included a note asking if we need directions to anywhere." Admiral Zekthros rubbed his temples. He had developed chronic headaches from trying to understand human logic. "What about our supply situation?" "Actually improving, sir. The humans have been sharing their food with us for months now. Our nutritionists say the Earth cuisine is surprisingly good for most alien biologies. Commander Thekvol has lost 30 pounds on what he calls the kimchi diet." "And morale?" Captain Veltar looked uncomfortable. "Well, sir, the crew is happy and well-fed. But they are starting to ask when we are going home. Some of the junior officers want to know if they can bring their human friends back to visit Nexus Prime." Admiral Zekthros put his head in his hands. His terrifying space fleet had basically become a social club. "What about our mission to punish the humans for ignoring galactic law?" "About that, sir," Captain Veltar said carefully, "I have been analyzing our intelligence reports, and I think we may have made some errors in our understanding of human technology." He activated the main screen, which showed a detailed analysis of human space activities. "Look at this data. The humans have been casually terraforming dead worlds for decades. They have colonies on hundreds of planets across dozens of star systems. Their cargo ships routinely travel faster than light without any effort." Admiral Zekthros studied the information with growing alarm. "How did our scouts miss all of this?" "I think they did not miss it, sir. I think they reported exactly what they saw, and we interpreted it wrong. When the report said humans had basic technology, they meant basic compared to what humans are actually capable of." "What do you mean?" Captain Veltar highlighted several sections of the data. "Sir, their primitive cargo ships are casually doing things our best engineers said were impossible. They terraform planets as a side business. They have defense systems we cannot detect or understand, and they do all of this while treating it as routine work." Admiral Zekthros felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying the humans are more advanced than the Council?" "Sir, I think the humans are so far beyond us that they do not even notice we exist as a threat. To them we are like insects making noise." This was too much for Admiral Zekthros to accept. "I demand a face-to-face meeting with their leaders," he announced. "We will settle this properly, with diplomacy instead of weapons." The meeting arranged took 3 weeks and involved going through 17 different human bureaucracies. Admiral Zekthros was finally directed to a small office building in Seoul, South Korea, where someone named Jun Seo-han worked as deputy assistant to the Minister of Miscellaneous Affairs. Admiral Zekthros had expected to meet in a grand palace, or military command center. Instead, he found himself in a cramped office with fluorescent lighting and a coffee machine that made strange gurgling noises. Jun Seo-han was a middle-aged human male wearing a rumpled suit and eating a sandwich at his desk. "Sorry about the mess," Jun Seo said, gesturing to a chair that was covered with file folders. "We were not expecting anyone 12 feet tall. Let me clear some space for you." Admiral Zekthros, who was used to being feared and respected across the galaxy, awkwardly folded his large frame into a human-sized chair. "I am Admiral Zekthros of the Galactic Council Fleet," he began formally. "Right, the space guys." Junseo nodded, unwrapping his sandwich. "Sorry it took so long to set up this meeting. Your people kept calling different departments, and nobody was sure who handles first contact protocols." First contact. Admiral Zekthros was confused. "We have been at war for 6 months. Junseo paused in his eating. "At war? With who?" "With humanity. The Council declared war on your entire species." Junseo thought about this for a moment. "Oh, you mean those spam emails we kept getting? About trade violations and galactic law?" "Those were not spam emails. Those were official declarations from the highest authority in the galaxy." "Huh," Junseo said, taking another bite of his sandwich. "Well, that explains why your messages kept getting filtered out. Our IT department has really aggressive spam detection." Admiral Zekthros stared at him. "Your entire species ignored our declaration of war because of spam filters?" "Pretty much, yeah. Also, you guys were using a lot of capital letters and exclamation points in your messages. That is usually a red flag for our automated systems. But we brought 50,000 warships." "Yeah, I heard about that from the traffic control people. They said you guys have been really polite about following the shipping lane regulations." Admiral Zekthros felt reality crumbling around him. "We fired our most powerful weapons at your planet." "Oh, that was you guys making all those pretty lights?" Junseo smiled. "My kids loved watching that. They thought it was some kind of space fireworks show." "How did you stop our weapons?" Junseo looked puzzled. "Stop them? I am not sure." "What do you mean?" Admiral Zekthros pulled up a holographic display showing the weapon impacts. "Our energy beams should have destroyed your planet. Instead, they were deflected by some kind of planetary shield system." Junseo studied the display while finishing his sandwich. Let me check on that." He typed something into his computer. "Ah, okay. Looks like Taejin Yang's thesis project caught them." "Thesis project?" "Yeah, he set up some kind of network to improve internet coverage. Apparently it has a side effect of deflecting space radiation and other interference." Junseo shrugged. "Technology, right? Always doing more than you expect." Admiral Zekthros felt his worldview collapse completely. "Your planetary defense system is a student project to improve Wi-Fi?" "Basically, yeah, pretty clever, actually. We have not had any internet outages since he installed it. And your faster-than-light travel, your terraforming technology, your casual colonization of hundreds of worlds." Junseo looked at him like he was asking about basic arithmetic. "Well, yeah. People need to get around, and empty planets are useful for farming and mining. It is not really complicated." Admiral Zekthros sat in silence for several minutes, trying to process this information. The most advanced military force in galactic history had been casually stopped by technology that humans considered routine engineering projects. "So," Junseo said finally, "what exactly did we do that upset you guys? Maybe we can work something out." Admiral Zekthros pulled up the official list of charges. "You terraformed dead worlds without council permission. You traded with species we marked as primitive. You ignored our territorial boundaries, and you completely disregarded our communications." Junseo nodded thoughtfully. "Okay, I can see how that might cause problems. But here is the thing. We did not know you guys existed. If you want us to follow your rules, you need to actually tell us what the rules are." "We tried. We sent hundreds of messages." "Right, but they all got caught by spam filters. Next time, try using normal formatting and official diplomatic channels. We have a whole department that handles international relations." "International relations?" "Well, interplanetary relations now, I guess. Same basic idea." Admiral Zekthros realized he was witnessing the most casual diplomatic revolution in galactic history. So if we properly introduce ourselves and explain the galactic legal system, humanity would be willing to follow council regulations? Junseo considered this. "Probably. I mean, we are generally pretty cooperative, but you would need to file the right paperwork and go through proper channels." I can give you some forms to get started. Admiral Zekthros left the meeting with a folder full of human bureaucratic forms and a completely new understanding of his place in the universe. The Galactic Council was not dealing with a primitive species that needed to be taught respect. They were dealing with a civilization so advanced that it had accidentally solved problems the Council did not even know existed. 3 days later, the invasion fleet quietly left the solar system. There was no surrender ceremony, no victory parade, no formal end to the war. The aliens just packed up their ships and went home. The Galactic Council established an embassy on Mars, mostly to ensure they would receive proper advance notice if humanity ever decided to actually pay attention to galactic politics. The embassy staff spent most of their time learning human languages and trying to understand Earth culture. Wu Jin Lim, a small-town mayor from Jeju Island, was appointed as Earth's first galactic ambassador.